I want to talk about some bands that left us a little bit too early while they still had some gas in the tank. And as always, you can let me know down in the comment section below the bands that you think were going to hit their stride right as they fizzled out. So first up, the project I want to talk about is Discordance Axis, and I'm also lumping in GridLink with this because they are linked together, and GridLink was the band that came after Discordance Axis and featured some of the members. Discordance Axis dropped one of the most important grindcore records of all time, The Inalienable Dreamless. And throughout their short-lived discography, they set the template for so many grindcore bands that were going to come after them in the 2000s and 2010s, the shrill, brittle, all-encompassing version of grindcore that they displayed, and GridLink was really cool too. Both bands, specifically GridLink, had the high-pitched shrieking vocals, and I just wish we would have gotten more material from either, because I think that their erratic, spastic way of approaching things would have been really fun to see in the future, to see how it would have developed. But much like a lot of power violence and grindcore bands, they just went off into the distance, and I'm unfamiliar if they've done anything past that point, but it's not really uncommon for grindcore bands to do something really cool and then just completely disappear. It almost happened with Terrorizer. One band that split up because of a death, but it wasn't something within their own hands, would be Death. The reason I put Death on this list is to honor how I view the legacy of Death and their flawless discography. People to this day are still arguing what the best Death album is, and I feel like that is a testament to just how great they were as a band, and it makes me sad because some of my favorite Death records are later in their discography. My favorite album of theirs is The Sound of Perseverance, and it makes me wonder, if Chuck wasn't tragically taken from us when he was, what they really would have done in the future. And you could obviously say that about any band that is determined by a death. You could say that about Typo Negative, or Linkin Park if you're bringing suicide into the picture. But ultimately, I feel like Death was not suffering from what a lot of bands do in terms of slowly but surely losing your magic. They were still innovating, they were still making kick-ass music, and they were still finding ways to revolutionize extreme metal. So I obviously am very sad that we didn't get to see that flourish even more so, even if they do have a flawless discography and a lot of things to listen to left. A band I only recently figured out doesn't exist anymore, and it made me so sad: Numenorean. Now this is probably the most underground band on this list, potentially. They released an album called Adore that was one of my favorite albums the year it released. It made like my top 3. I think I gave it like a 9 or 9.5 out of 10 at the time, and they released one other studio-length album. Just some amazing post-black metal music, some of the best I was hearing at the time, and just finding out that they just disappeared. I don't know if they made another project, I don't know if something happened with them, but Numenorean always stuck out to me as a phenomenal post-black metal band, and consider this my shouting out of them. Go check out the record Adore by Numenorean, you will not be disappointed, and if you are, I don't know, sue me or something like that, but consider this a shout out more than anything else. I'm just sad because in the process of making this video, I found out that Numenorean didn't exist anymore, so fuck me, I guess. Next up, I want to talk about Judas Iscariot. The American black metal solo project was massively prolific, so this isn't a situation of we got robbed of material considering they didn't have much material. No, this solo project had a ton of material, just so much to listen to. But ever since Judas Iscariot kind of went away, I feel like that breed of nihilistic, misanthropic black metal, hateful American black metal specifically, is a bit harder to find. There is a lot of it out there, but in terms of the raw black metal stylings from American bands like Profanatica and Judas Iscariot, and I'm just a little sad because I was listening to some Judas Iscariot the other day and I was like, damn, I feel like the quality never really got worse with this project. I feel like he was only honing his craft more, and yeah, I was sad to see it go. A pretty unfortunate situation would be the band Glass Cloud. Glass Cloud, there was a time when they were one of the biggest names in the booming genre known as gent. Progressive metalcore had a lot of bands that were quickly becoming namesakes, and Glass Cloud were among them. But then right at the peak of when they were releasing content that people were eating up alive, when they were held on the podium as one of the best gent bands, when they were one of the first gent bands, they just went away. They disbanded right at the peak of that. And it just makes me sad because the landscape of Gen after that, I obviously don't blame them for anything, they're just one band, but so much of Gen and progressive metalcore after that point started to feel so bland and so one note and so one-dimensional and blended in with each other, and I felt like Glass Cloud really did bring in a fun approach to the progressive metalcore genre, and I would have loved to see what they could have done as the genre evolved more and more, considering we just saw them start when Gent was starting out, leave when Gent was getting big, so we never really got to see what that was going to end up becoming. I have to talk about Me and Him Call It Us. I've been on a Me and Him Call It Us kick for months now. I've been listening to the hell out of their album Lost specifically. I don't even know what you want to call them. They're like that emo, violent, sasscore type of style, that Blood Brothers-esque style, and I just cannot suggest this project enough, specifically the album Lost. It is mania. It is all over the place. It's unrestrained chaos. It is so throaty. It is so emotive. It is so completely in your face unapologetically, and I am so sad we didn't get to see more material from Me and Him Call It Us, though I do think it was kind of a product of its time in terms of this music was what it was because of the late 90s and early 2000s, so anything past that point maybe wouldn't have hit as hard, I don't know. And then of course we have Acid Bath, the sludge metal band Acid Bath. I was aware that Acid Bath disbanded pretty fast and that they didn't even make it a decade as a project, but I wasn't aware of just how quick they were gone for how iconic they became for sludge metal. In their short stint, they became one of the hallmark bands of the genre, influenced so many bands that would come after them, and are held up to such a high standard even now, and I think that's wonderful. I mean, when the Kite String Pops is like top 10, if not 5 sludge metal albums of all time. So it just comes down to they were making incredible material, very high quality material, and I would have liked to see more. The most recent band on this list, as of 2025, I'm going to say it, SeeYouSpaceCowboy. SeeYouSpaceCowboy have progressively shaped up to be one of the best revival bands of the 2000s and 90s emo, screamo, and post-hardcore scene, but they just showed that they were so much more than that on Coup de Grace. Every single album they were changing their stylings, everything that the band represented, the representation that it brought into the community, and just specifically the ethos of the band was unlike pretty much anything else you were getting, and I feel like losing that project is a blow to the scene that we just don't understand yet, and I feel like the void that that project is going to leave, obviously it's going to open the door up for other bands to take their place, but I don't think that that perfect lightning in a bottle that SeeYouSpaceCowboy captured is going to easily be replicated and is never going to be replaced, obviously. And considering they're one of my favorite bands, I adore them with all my heart. I am an encyclopedia on SeeYouSpaceCowboy. I am really sad to see them go. I don't blame them for going. I don't blame Connie for stepping away for the reasons that she did. I feel like it was fully in her right, and I think the whole situation, as little as we actually know, considering we're not entitled to every single piece of information, based on what we know, it feels very valid, it feels very reasonable, and the whole thing was just a shit fest, so I can't blame anyone involved for that. Obviously I have my own opinions on it, but this is just a situation where a nasty lack of communication and a lack of respect for one another led to the band just shattering, and it doesn't help that there's been like no news whatsoever, so this may be invalidated and they may end up coming back, but considering that pretty much everything regarding the band has either been radio silent or they've just dropped everything, and Connie has consistently tweeted about the legacy of SeeYouSpaceCowboy and stuff, I have no reason to think that SeeYouSpaceCowboy is going to come back, and if they do, especially if it's without Connie, it's just not going to be the same band in any way. The entire identity of the band was shaped around Connie in many ways, so it just makes me sad. But with that being said, things happen. It's far from the first or last time something like this would happen, so What are some of the bands that you guys think disbanded too soon? I would love to hear it down in the comment section below. Agree or disagree, there is no wrong answer. As well as your opinions on my list, I highly suggest all these projects if you're unfamiliar with any of them. I love all of them, so it goes without saying that I think you would enjoy them too. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.